welcome back, first grade. What are you doing, Mrs. Wally?
We get to take our masks off.
We do?
Yes, it's so exciting.
Why?
Well, because you and I are fully vaccinated.
Yep, I remember.
And we are more than 6 feet apart.
More than. As long as I stay in my box.
Right, Miss Asa, have to remind her to stay in her box. And the CDC said that if we are on camera, as long as when we are talking on camera, we can have our masks off. But as soon as we're done with the episode, we put them right back on.
Okay, I can agree to all that.
So we waited till the music stopped and we were going to talk. We took them off. Now we're going to do our episode. And then at the end, after we do our affirmation, we'll put them back on.
And this way, our friends can see our faces. You can see our smiles. You can. Yeah,
I can take mine off.
Oh, Mr. Kevin, you've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Oh, gosh, really?
Oh, Mr. Kevin.
I'm glad you're able to take your mask off
Me
now,
too.
Mr.
You
Kevin.
always give us a good laugh. Well, friends, let's check in with our zones.
Yes, let's.
All right. Zone check-in coming right up.
How's your body feeling? How are your emotions feeling? And what's your brain doing? You know, friends, here in the TV classroom, we have this weird thing on the ceiling. Some of the ceiling tiles right above us, they have these green smiley face stickers. And when I look up to think, I always see them. Like, that's just kind of my spot where I like do my thinking eyes. And it always reminds me to smile and be happy.
Because they're smiling right at
In the
you.
green zone. It's always in the green zone. It's never in anything other than the green zone.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm 3 zones.
So interesting.
But I'm not in the red zone.
Okay.
So that's good. But whew, I've got a green brain,
So you're focused.
a blue body,
So you're sick or tired.
and yellow emotions. I'm hurt.
Hurt.
My shoulder is really hurting today. Yellow emotions. Feeling a little anxious today.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Can we talk about what it means to be anxious?
Yeah, it means, like, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
I just am uneasy would be a good word to describe anxious, where I'm waiting for some information on something, and so I'm just feeling uneasy because I don't know. I feel uneasy.
Yeah. That's a good word to use to describe it, uneasy.
What about you, Miss Asa?
Physically and mentally, I'm in the green zone. I feel good. I feel well rested. My brain is able to focus. Emotionally, I am in the yellow zone because I, too, am kind of anxious.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I'm noticing, like, my stomach feels a little upset.
I just feel...
So.
That is the best way to describe. It's not a very descriptive word, but...
Yeah. I think a lot of us can relate to it.
I think a lot of you probably can, too. It's kind of like how you feel before you go to school on the first day.
Yeah.
If you remember that feeling.
You're not sure what it's going to be like.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Mr. Kevin, what about you?
So that butterfly feeling, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, that like anxious-y feeling.
Okay.
Not
yeah,
sure.
I think I've got a little bit of that too. Yeah. But otherwise green.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
All right. Should we start with our 3 personal
I
standards?
think it's a great idea. Today and every day we do it.
We agree to
Show respect, make good decisions, and solve problems. And one way we show respect is by honoring our indigenous lands and peoples.
And we started doing this here at TV Classroom a couple weeks ago.
We did.
And we got some feedback,
We did.
which is a gift because that's when we do better. When we
Right.
know better, we do better.
That's right.
And the feedback helped us use words that were better or more appropriate for our land acknowledgement.
And to honor the peoples whose land this is, specifically this land, the actual land we're on,
Yes.
not the region we're in, the
Yes.
actual land we're on.
Yes.
And we didn't know, and now we know.
And it's important to make that distinction,
Whoa,
to be
yes,
really clear.
Very much so.
So as we do our land acknowledgement today, notice what might sound different than what we've said in the past and what might sound
The same.
similar. Look outside the window. Look at the sky, the trees, your surroundings. Our physical space stands on the historic and ancestral lands of the Puyallup tribe of Indians. We acknowledge the Puyallup Tribe of Indians community, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. We make this acknowledgement as part of our work to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism and white supremacy. And as we go on through the year, we're going to learn more about what those big words and ideas mean and why it's important for us to be saying this.
What's an elder?
Elder. When I think of the word elders, I think about the people who came before me, the people who are older than me.
Okay. Of past and present. So maybe the elders that have since passed and the present elders, the people who are still alive.
Oh. And then it talks about future generations.
The people who haven't arrived yet.
They're not born yet. So we're honoring all of them.
By our actions and our words.
We're going to continue learning about this together as a community in Tacoma.
We sure are.
Oh, are you ready for this? I know you love this.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, it's one of my favorite things. And I told the kindergartners that I've been doing some studying for school.
Yes.
I'm going to school to get my master's degree in teaching math in kindergarten through 6th grade. And I'm currently in a course all about educational research. And it's this scientific process. We notice a phenomenon and wonder, and then we make observations, ask questions, share ideas and data with other scientists or education people, and then we read a lot about it.
That's what we're doing today.
And then we put it all together and we come up with an explanation, our hypothesis. And then we test that explanation and we gather data and observations. We put it all together to see if our hypothesis is true. And if our hypothesis is true, then we put it together in a report and share that data with others, which then gives us new questions. It does satisfy the curiosity for that, but then we come up with new ideas and we start it all over again.
And also, this is where engineering comes into place, because this is when we get to use what we know to solve everyday problems, which is what engineers do.
They do. It's pretty amazing.
Oh.
I kind of like to think of people who write educational curriculum as like educational engineers.
Because they're solving everyday
Problems with the structure of lessons.
using research-based or evidence-based
Practices.
Anyway,
So that's what I'm studying. So I'm learning just like you are.
and today we're going to continue learning about how does the sky impact the earth.
The sky impacts the earth.
We're going to review our
Are you ready? Yes. Big science word. Just once I wanted to do that. Big science word.
Oh, Mr. Kevin.
We learned the word astronomer. We broke that word down into astro and
Astro is space, and is someone who studies. So an astronomer is someone who studies space. A scientist who studies the universe beyond Earth.
Should we do that all together? Okay.
Astronomer.
Astronomer.
A scientist who studies the universe beyond the Earth.
I love it. Solar.
Ooh.
This is of or having to do with or coming from
The sun.
the sun.
Just like solar panels give us solar energy.
And a telescope. That's an instrument that makes distant objects appear larger.
Or we were thinking telephone, which was a speaker that makes distant objects sound closer.
Yes. So tele has to do with
How far away,
how far away it is. Are you ready for our boogaloo?
Oh, yeah.
We're
really good at this one.
We are. This is the Astronomer Boogaloo, and it was written by Sarah Coddington and Stephanie Wright.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
I think so. I'm an astronomer and I'm here to say I study patterns in the sky every day. Sometimes I use telescopes or satellites in the sky, but usually observe patterns with my eyes. Moons, planets, constellations too, doing the Astronomer Boogaloo.
Orbiting the earth, the moon has phases, waxing and waning, lit by the sun's blazes. New moon to crescent, the full moon looks larger. 28 days and the cycle starts over. Moon, planets, constellations too, doing the astronomer boogaloo.
Do you remember our input chart that we did?
I do.
It looked kind of like this.
It looked exactly like that.
Yeah. We learned about what an astronomer does.
Yeah.
The patterns they observe.
They notice patterns in the sky.
Yes.
They use tools like telescopes and observatories and satellites. Not the natural satellite, the moon. Satellite's like an instrument that also orbits the Earth like the moon does to give us information.
Yep. And the patterns that they observe are the moon phases, like we heard in our boogaloo, comets' path, and asteroids' path.
And the constellations. Yes. Which is like playing connect the dot with stars.
That's fun. Interesting fact, or fun fact, solar system formed around 4.6 billion years ago.
A long time ago.
I can't even wrap my brain, which means like make sense in my
It's
head.
so big, we can't really comprehend how long
can't.
ago that was.
Oh, footprints.
This was a good one.
Footprints on the moon
They're still there.
forever. Because
no wind,
nothing to blow them away.
no rain.
Yep.
Unless someone comes along and marches right over them, their footprints will be gone and the new ones will be there. Or maybe there's Martians. No, I'm just kidding. There's never been any Martians on the moon that we know of.
Not that we know of.
We haven't really researched the whole thing. I guess maybe it could be something new, but no. That's just in movies.
Some things that astronomers can make predictions about are the position of the planets, meteorite showers. That's a hard word to say.
Oh, I love meteorite showers. When I go up to my mom's cabin, it's up in the mountains and there's not a lot of light pollution, as we call it, where like big cities create light pollution. It's kind of hard to see stars and things because of all the light. Up there, just people's little cabins, there's not a lot. So if it's a clear night when there's a meteorite shower, it just looks like these beautiful things like shooting across the sky with these trails. Oh, it's gorgeous.
So fun.
It's really fun.
And we can also predict lunar eclipse or solar eclipse.
We can.
That's fun. Oh, okay. Today, first graders, we are going to do some informational text reading where we're going to take everything that we've learned about astronomers and
the sun,
the sky, our Earth, and we're going to use our big science words, the input chart that's over there, everything that Mrs. Wally has taught us because she knows a lot.
And your science journal to take notes.
And what you think you already know. And in your science notebook, you are going to create your own graphic organizer.
Okay.
Graphic organizer is a tool that we can use to keep track of our thinking.
Okay, Mr. Kevin, can you show my page? So we're going to do non-fiction notes. So in whatever paper you have, write that at the top. And you're going to have 3 boxes. You're going to have 2 boxes on the top, like this. And then down below, you're going to have a box, and it's going to say 1, 2, 3. Now, Miss Oslin, what goes in this first box?
The first box is the topic or main idea. What is this book mostly about?
Okay, so we're going to put a heading so we know what we're going to put in this box. What's in the box on the right?
5 new words.
Ooh, new words. Now, these could be whatever words are new to you.
So you're going to want to make sure that you're monitoring your thinking, and when you get to a word and you say, I don't know what that means.
You can write it down, or I just learned what it meant, and that was a new word. You don't have to write the definition, just the word.
And then the 3, the 1, 2, 3, are facts, things that we learned.
About whatever topic it is we're going to read about. Okay, so as we're reading, your job is to jot down these things.
And we're going to read a book called Sun, 1 in a Billion. It's by Stacy McAnulty, illustrated by Stevie Lewis. Yes, Mrs. Wally?
Miss Oslin, I think I know what the book's about.
What do you think it's about?
I think the main topic is the sun.
How did you figure that out?
Because the title says Sun, 1 in a Billion.
That's usually a really good indicator is What is the title of the book? You could also look at the picture on the front cover.
But is the book about like how the sun works, or is the book like the history of the sun, or is the book like how the sun makes people feel?
Oh, we don't know yet.
So I guess we can't write it down because we don't know what about the sun the
Yeah.
book's about.
It's important to be really specific.
It is.
Because like,
yeah, it's about sun, but what about the sun?
Yeah.
There's lots of things. Like, is it about all the ways we can use sun to create energy?
is about like, what is the sun? What's it made of?
Right.
Oh, now we have more questions.
Okay, so we better
Let's
read.
keep reading.
Okay. I love that picture. 1 in a billion.
Once upon a time, about 4.6 billion years ago, a magnificent and important star was born. And that magnificent and important star was me, your sun, with a capital S. So the sun is a,
Proper noun.
yes, I am a star. Star, 1, a massive and luminous ball of gas full of energy. And this is the sign for star. Star. So the sun is a star, which is a massive and luminous ball of gas
I wrote
full
down the
of
word
energy.
star in my new words because star, I think of like a star when you
shape,
draw it. And
yeah.
like, but this, a star, it's a massive and luminous ball of gas full of energy. That's a new word for me.
It's also an outstandingly talented and popular performer. I fit both definitions.
I wonder why the sun is saying if it's both definitions.
Because it's both talented.
Yeah, it provides a lot of heat and light.
It's pretty popular.
Without it, we don't really survive. Okay, I get it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The Milky Way galaxy has over 100 billion stars. That makes me 1 in a billion, or 1 in 100 billion. Oh, and look, there's that arrow. We've looked at this picture before.
We have.
And it says,
So that me doesn't stand for us. That me stands for our sun.
the star.
Are those other suns of other planets?
Great wondering. I'm not the biggest. So what? Not the brightest. Who cares? Not the oldest. Whatever. But I am the most important, at least to you earthlings. That's true. Oh, what word did you hear?
Earthlings? I'm making a prediction about the meaning of the word earthlings.
What's your prediction?
Well, I'm looking at the page and I see people standing on Earth. And I think the sun is talking to those people, so it must be the people who live on Earth.
So, who's an earthling?
Me, you,
Me too.
Mr. Kevin, we're Earthlings.
Yeah.
Earthling.
Are we starting to get more of a sense of what the main topic of this book is about?
I am. What would you say, Miss Oslin?
I think it's about like why the sun is important to us.
I was going to say important information about the
Yeah.
sun. I'm going to write that down.
Okay.
Important.
And as we keep reading, as scientists, we're going to keep our brains open and thinking, do we need to change our thinking as we learn more information?
About the capital S, sun. Okay,
Go.
wrote it down.
Can you hang out for 8 minutes? That's how long it takes my light to reach Earth. Okay,
Okay.
TV classroom, we're having a problem here because we did some research for another lesson and it said 8 seconds. And now this source is saying 8 minutes. And Mr. Kevin and I
Both thought it was
had
8 minutes.
We both had background knowledge that said 8 minutes.
But when we researched it, it said 8 seconds.
We're going to have to do more research.
See how you think you know. And other people think they know. We've got to find the consensus.
We do, because there's a big difference between 8 minutes and 8 seconds.
Should I look it up while you keep reading?
Sure. Let's do it. And actually, when you're doing that, we're going to be really careful and make sure we have an accurate source that we're checking, because
Oh yeah, I'm
there's-
going to go to NASA.
Yeah, beautiful. That's pretty accurate. So yes, I give you heat and light. You're welcome. It's so important that Earthlings should name a special day in my honor. We could call it Sunday. Oh, wait. That's where we get the day of the week. Sunday is from the sun that we learned is a star. We're going to find out how long it really takes for the light of the sun to get to us Earthlings here on Earth.
Earthling.
Okay. I have an answer. Light travels at the speed of 299,792 kilometers per second, which is 186,287 miles per second, and it takes 499 seconds for light to travel from the sun to Earth, a distance called 1 astronomical unit, which means it is 8 minutes.
8
Let's
minutes.
see, to Earth, 8.3 minutes.
Mr. Kevin, we were right.
We were right.
And that is from NASA.gov.
Doesn't get much more official than that.
Not the people who study science and not science, study space.
So we're going to have to go back and revise our thinking in our other
I
lesson.
think it was an input chart.
The sun and the energy, I think for 5th grade,
Yes.
perhaps? Okay.
Yep.
Always open to changing our thinking.
So we're going to have to let the 5th graders know that we did some more research when we were reading a book about sun with the 1st graders, and that we've changed our thinking because we think we know, but scientists are always open to changing their thinking.
See, sources matter.
It does.
Sources matter.
I wonder what source you found.
I wonder.
I wonder if it's heat. Is it heat?
Is there a difference in the transfer between light and heat from
I wonder
the sun?
if it's the heat. Should I look while you keep
Sure.
reading?
Yes.
Okay.
Because now I'm curious. Oh, well, this is going to go really well. I'm famous for my heat and light, but I also hold our entire solar system together. So see, we get heat and light from the sun. Scientists call it gravity. What can I say? The planets are attracted to me. So pause and think. Are you learning any new facts? Have you heard any new words? What are you thinking about the main idea of this book, Sun 1 in a Billion? Take some think time. No word.
I didn't hear what you were saying because I was reading, and my brain
We-
couldn't do one.
They introduced the word gravity.
Oh, better write that one down.
Seems important because they did it in a bold text and they even changed the color. So I think that the author really wanted us to pay close attention to that word.
Scientists. What are they calling gravity? What was the word before, or the words before it?
Scientists call it gravity. What can I say? The planets are attracted to me.
Was there something before it that had anything?
I'm famous for my heat and light, but I also hold
it
our entire
together.
solar system together.
Ooh. Scientists call it gravity.
Okay, what information did you find?
That heat doesn't really travel, that it's conducted, and that it's used by the light, and so it's
Oh, they kind of go together?
Yeah.
Okay. And because I'm the center of our solar system, life revolves around me, literally. Look,
that.
they all go in the same direction. It says they all go in the same direction. What is they?
the planets.
How do you know that?
Because the sun is talking about they, and the other things on the page are the planets.
Interesting. They are all going in the same direction. Those other stars are far, far away from Earth, which makes them look teeny tiny and not so important. I'm close, a mere 93 million miles from Earth. To an Earthling, I look like this. Did you hear a fact that was interesting?
The sun is 93 million miles from Earth.
That is interesting. And that is an important detail because if it were any closer or any farther, that would change the heat and the light that we get from it here on Earth.
It would. And I made a mistake with is. I put I and then 9 because I was going to write 93 million. I just put an S on it and moved on.
There you go.
No need to worry.
But to Neptunians, I'm 2,795 million miles away, and I look like this. You see where that arrow is pointing? If there were Neptunians, there's no known life on Neptune.
I put Neptune as a word.
It's a good word. Technically, I'm a yellow dwarf star, but I'm still a big, big deal. Especially to us here on this Earth.
I know that there's dwarf planets. I didn't know there were dwarf stars.
If I were the size of a basketball, so picture the size of a basketball, Earth would be smaller than the grain of sand, than a grain of sand.
Whoa.
Whoa! You could fit about 1 million Earths inside me. The Earth seems really big to me, and I can't imagine 1 million Earths.
The sun is
Really
huge.
big.
So, I wonder if I could write, you could fit about 1 million Earths inside of the sun. That's a good fact.
That is. So the facts that Mrs. Wally is thinking of is how far away the sun is, what type of star the sun is, and how big or large the sun is. Those are all details that support the main idea that we've come up with, which is important information about the sun.
Yep. I wouldn't write down that the Earth is like a star, like a movie star. I mean, that was a fact, but it
Yeah.
wasn't really an important one. And it's kind of like a secondary fact.
Yeah.
But these are like really important facts.
And it was also, I think, more to engage and get us to chuckle and read
I
more,
agree.
be more interested
I've
in
got to
what we're
find
reading.
one more word. I only have 4.
Okay. But you can't fill me with Earths because I'm hot stuff. Compare. A hot summer day is about 90 degrees. A pizza oven is about 700 degrees. The orange-yellow flames in a campfire are about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Me, about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit on the surface. I can melt diamonds. At the center, the sun is 27 million degrees Fahrenheit.
Do you see my mouth? I was reading that and my jaw went.
27 million degrees
I don't
Fahrenheit.
even. Wow.
I think that's something that our brains just can't quite
That's
understand.
very hot. That's why you can't get close to the sun.
Right? And that's why it's important to know how far away it is. That's
Right, and why it's important to protect ourselves from it.
we had to do that this weekend.
We
Lots
did
of-
too.
lots of
Sunscreen,
sunscreen.
sun hats. Yep.
Ancient Earthlings thought I circled the Earth. Can you imagine me revolving around Earth? And some might think that I sit in the sky all day and all night. But I got moves, baby. I'm spinning. And because I'm not solid, my middle moves faster than my top and bottom. About 25 Earth days to rotate, about 36 Earth days to rotate. Oh, the middle goes at about 25, and the top and bottom go at about 36 days.
Wow.
It says, don't try this at home.
No, that'd be hard to move your middle faster than your outside. I wrote down revolving as my 5th word.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've said it a few times.
They
So I think
have.
it's an important word.
I'm not only important, I'm generous and good looking. Sit back and enjoy the show. The sun gives us sunrises and sunsets,
They're so beautiful.
northern lights and southern lights.
I've always wanted to see the northern and southern lights.
I'm really curious about the northern and southern lights.
It has to do with radiation storms that happen when there's sun flare-ups.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know much other than that. That's all I know. But it's something weather people study.
I've seen them.
Have you seen them in real life?
In real life in Alaska.
Was it just beautiful?
Beautiful. They're like flowing neon curtains.
We'll have to find
Just
silently moving.
It's one of my bucket list items is to go to Iceland and stay in one of their they have these igloos you can stay in and my brother and I both really want to go.
Yes.
Oh, it's one of my bucket list items.
You know what we should do is get a picture for our background.
I know, we should go on a TV classroom field trip.
Let's go to Iceland.
I don't think that would happen, but that'd be fun.
It's not in the budget.
No.
Sometimes I like to be mysterious and sneak away for a few minutes. Solar eclipse. But don't worry, I'm just behind the moon.
That's happened here.
Yes.
Your friends probably don't remember it, but it did happen. We had a total eclipse and it got really dark and cold, and then the sun came back and it got warm again. And
so the word I just used to describe is eerie.
It was really weird. That was the middle of the day and dark. It was like noon.
It was it was a neat experience.
It was.
While I'm astronomically bigger than the moon, 400 times wider, the moon is astronomically closer to Earth, almost 400 times closer. My neighbor stars have fancy names. Meet Proxima Centauri, Alpha Centauri A, and Alpha Centauri B. Me? I just need 3 letters. Give me an S.
S.
Give me a U.
U.
Give me an N.
N.
What does that spell?
Sun.
Sun. Sun. He's our light. Light and heat from afar. Please note, that's a capital S. I am important.
I keep forgetting capital S and keep changing it here on my, because
names are important.
Names are important, and Sun really wants that capital S.
Not to hog the spotlight, but I've still got it. I'm the same hot, bright star I've always been. So grab your shades. I plan to be in the biz for another 6 billion years. You and me, we've got a bright future together.
Well, 6 billion years definitely will be here past us. We don't live for billions of years.
I don't.
Okay, let's look at the notes I took while we were reading.
Yes.
I'm curious if our first graders took other ones. Ooh, look at that. Well, before we do that, let's look at this.
This is such a neat diagram.
I've never seen this before.
Where it's showing a cross-cutting section, which means it kind of showed what it would look like if you cut out a piece of the sun and saw the layers inside. What were you noticing?
The colors.
Yes.
So it says inner core is like that blue color. And then radiative zone, which must be where all the radiation is. Convection zone, heat maybe. Surface flows, photosphere, the chromosphere, and the cornea. Oh no, the corona.
Corona.
I read that wrong. Wow.
The sun is made up of many different chemicals. These pictures show the sun through different filters.
Cool.
So this visible light on the surface, or you can look at a magnetic image, that's the gray one. The bright red one is ultraviolet, that's the upper chromosphere.
Those are the things that cause sunburns.
And then there's the corona, which is the blue one, the ultraviolet light. So is the green. I wonder what the difference between the blue and the green is.
And the orange, they're all ultraviolet lights.
The orange one says upper corona, so that makes me think that it's a different place within the corona.
Must be.
And I noticed that the yellow seems bigger. It's farther out from the sun, but the blue and the green are labeled the same.
Some more questions. Scientists, we always have more questions and wonderings.
So we read this book about how does the sky impact the earth.
Well, first of all, there's a sun in it.
Oh my goodness. Let's review.
Okay. So
your nonfiction notes.
The topic or main idea, important information about the sun. Most definitely true. Yes. Check. I confirm that. That's what this book was about.
I agree.
I had 5 new words. Star, as in this burning gas ball. Neptune, which is a planet. Revolving, which is the moving around. Earthlings, the people on Earth. And gravity, a force that's pulling something towards it. And then 3 facts. There were so many facts. 3 that really stood out to me. There were more I wanted to write.
Right.
I only had room for 3. The sun is 93 million miles from Earth. The sun is a yellow dwarf star, which I thought was interesting, and I kind of want to research more about dwarf stars, so I'm going to underline that. And then you can fit about 1 million Earths inside the sun, but you can't because it's really hot. But you could. That's the size reference. Amazing.
All very important facts that talk about how does the sky or the things in the sky impact the Earth.
All right.
So you are going to review.
Oh, Mr. Kevin.
That's beautiful.
That's the Northern Lights.
Isn't that beautiful, friends?
Yeah.
And when you're looking at the Northern Lights, Mr. Kevin, are they stagnant or do they move?
No, they move around. They flow. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So neat.
Yeah.
We need to take a field trip.
We do. Maybe during the summer sometime.
Okay, first graders, you're going to get back into your science notebook and you're going to think about what you think you know about the Earth and the sky. Make any revisions or changes now that we've read a nonfiction text with more information.
Maybe you thought you knew something about the sun. Maybe it's the same, or maybe you learned something new.
What questions came up? We have a lot.
That book answered some and gave me a lot more than I had. Like, what's a dwarf star?
What is a dwarf star?
And what are those colors? And what do they represent?
Yes.
Yeah.
You, as a scientist, can start to answer the question, how does the sun impact our life on Earth?
Right. Because the sun is part of the sky. So this is going to start to answer some of our essential question. Not all of it, just part of it. So how does the sun impact the Earth?
This is where you're going to use some of your new learning, some of your new words, what you thought you knew.
What we looked at in the input chart.
Oh, yes. Think about our astronomer boogaloo, any other information that we've had. And you can send it to us here at our TV classroom.
We would love it.
Mr. Kevin's going to tell you 2 ways that you can send us your thinking.
That's right, students. 2 ways you can send us some information or some thinking. TV classroom. So first of all, your laptop, right? It's a great communication tool.
It works really well.
Yeah, works really well. Just send us an email, tvclassroom@tacoma.k12.wa.us, or you can mail us something to TV Classroom, right downtown Tacoma at 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.
Awesome.
It's time for our affirmation. Do you have anything, Mrs. Wally, that you're thinking?
I don't have anything right now. Do you have something?
I do. I was thinking about how Mr. Kevin and I heard that fact about the light from the sun, and it made me start to change my thinking, but then I reconfirmed it, and it just made me think that Mr. Kevin and I are adults, but we're still learning and questioning. Because we heard that fact for like 8 seconds.
Didn't seem right.
It didn't seem right. So I think we need to talk about how we are lifelong learners, which means we're learning our entire life.
Yep.
We don't just stop learning when we think we know something.
Yeah, when you graduate high school, it doesn't mean you stop learning.
In fact, that's kind of when you start to learn
more.
Learn more.
Mm-hmm.
So take a deep breath and say our affirmation. I am a lifelong learner. Excellent job today, first graders. We hope you have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you back here next time in our TV classroom.
Bye, friends.
Greetings, young adventurers. You will be going on a quest. It will be a dangerous quest, filled with obstacles and dangerous creatures. Should you make it to the end of each level, you will receive a coin. Find all 4 coins, and you will be crowned the champion and receive this prize. Good luck, young adventurers. Well, time for my nap. Good day, young adventurers, and good luck. Greetings, young adventurers! Congratulations on collecting all 4 coins. Well done! By completing this quest, you will now receive your prize! I hope to one day see you again for another adventure. Goodbye, young adventurers.